A full moon illuminated the campsite of the Fallen's Fellowship on their way back from Mirnek. They bonded over a short card game and got the last bit of energy out of their systems for the evening by Mimith painting a highly detailed portrait of Tyrul Iskgale for the party to sink their weapons and magic into, and then tucked in and parted ways for their collective dreams, starting with Gribble. His tired eyes gave way as his essence, along with Renrev's Esper, were plucked through a cool mist of the clouds and whipped into a set of cosmic doors through a piercing light like a missile, inevitably bringing the butler and champion to roughly tumble into a grand ornate hallway in the Theran realm. Poor Gribble spun out and crashed into a wall of statues, while Renrev quickly leapt to catch a vase that was about to shatter over Gribble's head.
Young master, has every time that you have visited the Therian realm been such a booming entrance?
Pretty much. Usually it's a blast, and I get to feel like a firework. But sometimes it makes me dizzy.
With an amused smile, the butler helped his young master to stand and dusted him off. Them advancing past the grand doors to enter the epic chamber of their goddess. All the same points of interest from Gribble's previous visits remain intact, but two things within the chamber now held more meaning to Gribble than they did before. The first being a solemn altar that contains a glass-encased ice blue rose, Gribble, now having since learned more about history and religion on his adventures, figures this to be Dea's tribute to the goddess Mystra. The other point of interest being the white flames flickering in Dea's grandiose fireplace. It's never been a secret that these were Gribble's flames that Dea removed from his Esper the day he burned down the Bog's biome, but he was not fully aware until recently just how important they were to his goblin tribe. This being the object of desire that many of Gribble's tribe seeks to kill him for, the Shamanic flame. Dea's regal throne sits tall and alone with the ethereal cosmos as a dramatic backdrop. Renrev and Gribble both took a deep bow of respect.
Again, while appreciated, you need not bow while here, Gribble. Such traditions are only useful to me when you are back in your realm, in front of others. There's no audience here, it's just us. You may make yourself at home. Renrev, however, does need to bow.
Oh, yes, ma'am, yes I do. As much as I enjoy serving our little dragon, please know that I've missed you. By the way, Lord Thanatos sends his regards.
Thank you, Renrev. Now please prepare us with whatever nourishment Gribble requests. We have much to discuss. Admittedly, the Theran realm is much more suffocating without you here, my friend. Thanatos, believe it or not, beat you to the punch. He has already made an offer I could not reject.
Young master, I presume you'd like for me to prepare your favorite, dog ribs.
Yes, please, Renrev. Make 'em extra smoky. No beer this time. I tried it and it tasted weird. I don't get why people drink that stuff.
Because it makes it easier to ignore their problems and artificially feel better. As for the dog ribs, I promise you they will be done to perfection, young master. Hang tight while I prepare our meal. Well, my lady Dea, it sounds like Thanatos is eating right from your palm. I'm insatiably curious. What did he offer?
He presented me with a blood contract that simply states, I owe you. So long as it does not deeply compromise my playing field, use this as you see fit. Once I cash that in, the exchange will be done on the spot. The ball's in our court now, and there's no expiration attached. Dearest Gribble, before I bring up the big topic of the evening, did you have anything that you wish to discuss with me first?
Yeah, actually, I forget. How long until I finally become a dragon?
Physically, you have a long way to go. It's one thing to just polymorph into a false dragon, but another entirely if you want to be a real dragon of epic and ancient capabilities, while maintaining who you really are. Your very humanity would fray apart if we just snapped you to it. Don't forget, you also have to earn your wish fulfillment. Thus, your transformation will not complete until you finish the main focus I have for you. But you are far from strong enough to take on that task yet. So for now, you receive incremental augments as you slowly get stronger.
Okay, fine. But can we pretty please prioritize finishing my tale? The stupid Tyr worshipper in my party keeps bullying me about it.
Young Master, don't fret over his opinion. He worships Tyr. That's far more embarrassing.
Renrev tells me, despite the bickering between you and this Goliath, that you nonetheless seem to care about each other. Can you confidently say if you feel like you can trust him to look out for your well-being, Gribble?
Well, I would have said yes, if not for the fact Thotham just admitted during a card game he'd be willing to kill anyone, even a kid, if it meant the greater good. So now Lux and I can't trust him anymore.
Beatrice raised a sharp and bitter eyebrow while whipping her line of sight over to Renrev, whom was busy scraping out the intestinal lining of a mutt's carcass.
Is there any more context that I should know in regards to this Renrev? Give me an updated and thorough status on how you perceive the Goliath.
Certainly. From my point of view, it's a delicate line we're walking. On one hand, as I've said before, I do believe Thotham cares about my young master, at least for the most part. In fact, I'm sure he would kill almost anyone that became a threat to the boy. Not as enthusiastically as Miss Moonsworn would, but it's something. But on the other hand, milady, I wish I could tell you how this Tyr worshipper defines greater good, but alas, I fucking can't. Like most mortals, his ideology seems to be an incoherent mess. For a cluster of examples, he chased a sympathetic elderly tiefling woman to her suicide, yet he's also the type that scorns tiefling racism while preaching a love and liberty. Oh, and you'll get a kick out of this one. Thotham also thinks a paladin of Tyr deserved to be stripped of any power and abandoned in a horrific situation, all because he dared to fall in love and sleep with a devil.
That is indeed amusing. Though it sounds like my attempts to fate thread a wedge between Thotham and his faith have failed. Oh well, it is what it is.
Well, quick side note, milady. The Harangon ended up woefully declawed because of that fate thread. Sorry I waited to tell you. I just wanted to make sure your meeting with Heckma was untainted by that bit of knowledge. Don't worry too much though, the bunny's a bit traumatized, but he's a remarkably resilient fellow.
There's only so much we gods can do to prevent Ao Etherine's white cat from pouncing all over the fucking gameboard like it owns the place. But back to the topic. It sounds to me that Thotham is not so tribalistic that he would change his behavior to mimic whatever the nearest Tyr worshipper does. We may be stuck juggling this loyal dog, but at least Thotham's willing to eat his own faithful siblings. I'm sure we can find a roundabout way to weaponize that.
Agreed. Thus, the only threat that remains with him, in my opinion, is not knowing what Thotham would do if his pain in the ass god ever deemed Gribble an antagonist to how he defines good. Well, it might be easier to just make a convenient accident happen to Thotham. I'm pretty sure that would hurt my young master. If I did that behind his back, I wouldn't be able to look him in the eye unless I knew it was truly the only choice. But I don't think it is. At least not yet.
Thotham being threaded to Gribble, I believe, is more so Tyr's lovely little reminder to us to stay in line, rather than a direct object of threat to Gribble himself. Therefore, downing his pawn wouldn't make any difference. Tyr would just stitch a nastier thread to the child. It's too soon in our plans to be dealing with that. But it's whatever. Let that stupid man-god think he is in control. Wherever possible, Renrev, please Focus on tightening the bond between Thotham and Gribble, so as to make betraying the child in the future entirely unthinkable to him.
That's a most nauseating request, milady, but I shall nonetheless dutifully try my best. Frankly, I don't understand how anyone could bring themselves to hurt my young master, especially once they get to know him. He's so brilliant and precious. I mean, look at him! He's a cute little chaos being with a world of potential.
I thought of another question! Renrev, how is it that you control my homunculus?
Renrev plated the hickory smoked dog ribs fancifully and gracefully glided the otherwise back-alley meal to the round table. Him eagerly waiting for Gribble's approving smile of his meal before then taking a seat between the goddess and the boy. The butler extended a hand out toward his young master, asking him to present the mechanical dragon, of which Renrev opened up the back panel where the crystal sits that Dea gave the child back in game session 10.
Think of this crystal as a bit like a transportation pod for my Esper. It connects to the mana feeding wires you built into the homunculus, and from within it I have attached those to special gloves, boots, and a helmet that I shimmy myself into.
Wait, so you're really in there but like super small?
Well, since I normally have an overwhelming amount of mana compared to mortals, reducing it enough to remain undetectable means Milady Dea must strip me down and turn my Esper into that of a tiny, pathetic man.
That doesn't sound very comfy. But how is it that if the homunculus gets hurt, that you're okay?
On the contrary, I've made myself quite at home inside there. Crystal is bigger on the inside than it is the outside, so if anyone looks into the homunculus, they won't notice anything suspicious. And remember, young master, I am immortal. The Esper crystal can receive Dea's mana that helps restrict me, and voila!
Speaking of Renrev's Esper crystal, congratulations are in order, dear Gribble. She might not be a dedicated worshipper yet, but you got your first party mate, Mimith, to pray to me and only me. Here, a reward for your persuasive efforts.
Dia floated a small parcel across the table to Gribble that contained a pendant with a dragon wrapped around a small crystal.
That pendant contains a teeny tiny amount of Renrev's excess mana that I've separated from him. If you find no reason to utilize your monthly champion boon, you may instead use this to make Renrev temporarily big again. He'll be slightly more detectable in this form, but only as someone seemingly blessed by me. Still, for that reason, you need to keep in mind time and place.
Like I said, young master, if you use that, I won't be nearly as powerful as I was a few nights ago. That was a rare and risky treat.
Is it all right if I use this, even if I don't need your help, Renrev? Like, so that we can do something together?
The goddess and butler exchanged bittersweet glances before Dea gave Renrev an approving nod as she hid an amused smirk behind sipping her wineglass.
Yes, young master, I'd enjoy that very much. But if you do that, I advise saving it for the last day of the month, and in the evening so as to not risk wasting it in case you really end up needing Dea's stronger boon for something important. All right?
You got it. Okay, what's the serious business?
I met with Heckma, the goddess that employs Zugtamoy. After much back-and-forth debate, we hammered out a 2-agreement contract together that has not yet been signed, as I felt it best to discuss with you. The first agreement, to me, feels like a no-brainer, and I strongly advise we sign on. The second agreement, however, comes with a mix of pros and cons that I felt best you decide, as it impacts your day-to-day existence the most. I'm neither in favor nor strongly against the second agreement for now. It's something that could help in the present and buy us time while you get stronger, but it risks choking us later.
It was a shock enough that Heckma initiated this contact, but even more curious to me is Heckma's willingness to go behind Asomodeus' back with this. Either she's got a lot to lose or there's trouble in paradise. Again. Ha, or both. But anyway, young master, if you'd like, I can summon some false echoes of the table that replicate your party mates' personalities, so to solicit whatever feedback they might hypothetically have.
Cool, yeah. Can you make Rabbit Man a centaur?
Well, that's random as fuck. I would have guessed you'd asked to put Thotham in a real diaper, but no problem, I aim to please. Horse-bottomed rabbit and rest of the Fallen's fellowship crew incoming!
And thus artificial echoes of the player party were animated. Some shenanigans aside, with Tarth groveling on the floor and being 9th level silenced by Dea for being noisy and disruptive, the false party decided that signing both agreements felt favorable to them. While the entirety of that contract is very important for future considerations, the bare minimum summary for Gribble, and only Gribble to keep in mind, is that he is now bound to the following conditions. Covenant 1. Going forward, anything Gribble learns about the network he cannot share with anyone other than Dea and Heckma's court. Gribble is to remain silent during such discussions that take place with others. Covenant 2. Dea's court cannot act with direct hostility towards Heckma's court, of which you still have no idea who Heckma's avatar and summoner of Fenrir are. But if accidents happen of that nature, Gribble must immediately abort any hostile activity upon realization. And the goddesses promise to attempt diplomacy if such an incident were to unknowingly arise. Covenant 2.5. An amendment at the request of Zugdmoy. Dea's court also can't act with direct hostility towards his own party mate Tarth, nor the tiefling doctor from Zombie U, Acrimon Diamante. If hostile conflict arises with these individuals, Gribble must make an attempt to inspire diplomacy with them. Tarth and Acrimon are not bound to the same conditions and are not to be made aware this contract even exists by either party. But in exchange, Heckma's court offered the same courtesy now to Gribble's named individuals Luthien Moonsworn and Mimith Valbus. To be very clear, if Tarth and/or Acrimon ever attack Gribble or his allies, Gribble is not to attack back and must either try to de-escalate or escape the situation. Gribble also cannot help anyone else who's being directly hostile to them. Be aware that the named individuals are not protected by the vice versa parties in this contract. Therefore, Heckma's court could hypothetically attack Tarth and Acrimon without any consequence. For proper nullification of the contract, you will need to provide a mortal 10-day notice to end either agreement without incurring severe damages. You may request renegotiation of certain terms, but the other party is not required to hear you out. If you violate the contract otherwise, there will be hell to pay. But of course, if Gribble's player accidentally slips, the DM will provide the opportunity to recant or proceed forward. I will state again, doing the latter will have dire and potentially deadly consequences. Do not take this lightly. Thus, as the exhaustive discussion came to a close, Dea bid her fellow courtesans farewell.
I will pass this contract back to Heckma. Remember, under my domain, the odds are always in both of your favor, even if only by a fraction. I'm watching out for you both where I can. But fate can be a nasty cat, regardless of what I do. But both of you are free to return to Gikarin now. May your adventures help you grow and amuse us all.
Thank you, Dea! Next time I come see you, I'll try to have something fun to share.
Perhaps a longer tale by then. But off we go now, young master. I am pained to leave you here alone, milady Dea, but I will continue to guide Gribble to the utmost best of my ability, while relentlessly pursuing the origin of that wretched amethyst thread.
I appreciate that, Renrev. In some poetic or fucked up way, the child's flayings here are of comfort. I trust it to you to secure our grand reveal, while I keep appearances up. Remain steadfast and safe, my friend.
Godspeed.
As the butler and champion left their goddess alone in the Therin realm, they leapt through a light to descend back to Gikarin. Gribble's body, however, smashed through invisible glass and was rerouted just as Renrev collided face flat into it, unable to bypass the network's barrier entirely.
No, young master! Ugh, fuck you, Heckma!
Up next, Luthien Moonsworn spent her trance taking a dive into oblivion. Within the crystalline cavern, our phantom rogue was bracing herself to face her father again with her mother's journal in hand. But her tension was pleasantly distracted by a familiar voice.
Thank you so much for holding my spot in line, darling. It wouldn't be polite of me to have nature calling while sharing a death boat with a lady after all.
Orixian lied as he scooted behind Lux, much to the growling attitude from the rogues further back in line. Lux gave a hidden sheepish smile.
Sure, not a problem. Good thing you got back just in time. We're up next.
Next in line, please. Ah, Luthien and Orixian. Welcome back, Phantoms. A death boat is ready for you. May your knocks be fruitful.
The bargainer said, as the pair politely nodded and made their way past the Avatar's podium and toward the River Styx docks, stepping into their death boat as both rogues sat tensely across from each other with different sets of burdens plaguing their minds.
Lux, would now be an alright time to have that talk I mentioned the other day? No pressure, of course, if you aren't feeling up to it yet. You do seem kinda off. If you need to get something off your chest, you can. Especially since we don't get much opportunity to speak alone anymore.
I'm all right. Now's a fine time to talk about that. I, agree with what you said about there seeming to be more than meets the eye with my little dragon friend, particularly with his homunculus. As I'm sure you know, homunculus don't have will or a sense of self. Yet, that doesn't seem to be the case with Renrev. There's a lot I could say. But what have you noticed about Tweety and the mouse? Sorry, what's its name again?
She calls that mischievous little rodent her best friend, Momo. Your circumstance with the homunculus is far stranger than mine, so maybe I'm overreacting. Naturally, Tweety's a druid, so it's not weird for them to talk to animals. But without my understanding what the furry pipsqueak is saying, it just seems to me like their conversations with each other are complex and its mannerisms seem more humanoid than animal. I'll admit that occasionally the mouse has been conveniently helpful at times, but I feel like I'm going crazy suspecting Momo might be a secret druid. Get this, not long ago I shelled out for a detect magic scroll and I used it pretending to be looking for something else. And yet the little shit kept evading the spell range as if it knew what I was doing. That's pretty blatant, right? It can't all be in my head. And yet Gorham has Moravi convinced we're seeing things that aren't there.
I mean, from how you're describing it, that sounds suspicious to me. I've experienced similar oddities. Like how Gribble was crying how Renrev's personality suddenly vanished one night, but then he perked up again when we encountered some suave table waiter, who Gribble himself said had a voice exactly like Renrev's that he hears in his head. I didn't think much of it at first. That is until I'm quite sure that I witnessed Gribble become wildly strong that night after having some kind of interaction with that man, among other crazy, unexplainable things that I'm still trying to wrap my head around, to be honest. But you get the idea.
Trust me, Lux, I believe you. Especially about Gribble getting suddenly more powerful and then it vanishes, right? Gods, I'm glad you said that. More than just the suspicious Machiavellian mouse, I can't seem to shrug off that I swear I saw Tweety drop a massively, unexplainably powerful spell back at Zambu.
Whoa! Why didn't you mention that before?
I did try to gently confront Tweety about it in front of you back then. It was after we woke up from the network the very first time, but she frustratingly danced around the topic. Sorry, maybe I should have been more direct sooner, but a lot was going on and I just assumed Moravi and I had to have seen it all wrong somehow. At the end, when we were fighting off fucking Baal at the gates while you were all facing Looseburg, that Aarakocra had become a huge monstrosity. He pinned me down, beat me bloody, and plucked my damn eye. I managed to gouge the feathered pig, but I was fading fast. I thought I was done for. Poor Moravi was trapped multitasking an endless barrage of cultists. And then the last thing I remembered was darling Tawidi's face. She clutched at her cute little lucky rock and screamed. Then Baal, and a bucket's worth of blood collapsed over me just before I fainted. And the next thing I knew, I pathetically woke up in Moravi's arms on horseback, heading to the secret supply camp you all met us at, just before the ley line rupture and network shit happened. It's still crazy to me how we all survived that. But from Moravi's version of events, the heads of Paul and the cultists simultaneously exploded from the back of the skull during Tawidi's scream. At least 2 handfuls of enemies dead in an instant. Moravi cut off what was left of the bird pig's head so I could see the skull damage for myself, and then I fed it to Ifrit. But because weird shit keeps piling up, that day keeps jumping to the front of my mind again. Is the power you've witnessed with Gribble similar to that?
Well, it's complicated. Similar, but different. I mean, Gribble's infamous for burning down a quarter of the bog's biome in a single blaze. Mass-spreading wildfires in damp swamps aren't to be heard of. And Gribble is legitimately seeming to be growing a tail and horns. Between that and his seemingly very powerful secret ally, I don't know what exactly is going on. But I do believe you. I don't think you're crazy, Orixian.
Thank you, Lux. I feel a lot better to have someone on a similar page as me. And since it sounds like neither of us seem to be getting straightforward answers from them, I think we need to strategize together how to go about confronting these little creeps that are stalking and exploiting our wards.
Wait, what do you mean by that, and what exactly did you have in mind?
I don't know. If Momo is a druid, then I figured I just need to stab her and then she'll reveal her true self. But if she's not a druid, whelp, then I'm the paranoid asshole that just killed a child's beloved pet. So then what? Maybe I abduct the pipsqueak in the night, hold it at knife point, and then increase the pain slowly, so to pressure it into dropping its wild shape. I'm not sure how you'd go about doing that to a homunculus, though. And then imagining how any of this would make Tawidi feel makes me hesitate. I'm torn between not wanting to betray her trust and torn feeling I need to be protective of a child who might be being preyed on right fucking in front of me when it's my responsibility to look out for her.
As Orixian brandished a dagger and stared at it frustratedly, a familiar bloodlust clearly percolating in his mind. Lux internally started to panic.
Uh-oh! If Momo is anything like Renrev, then that mouse could incinerate Orixian. I have to save him and stop him right now! Nah, I think you're overthinking this part. They seem pretty chill to me. I mean, you even said yourself that Momo can be helpful. And Renrev certainly has been quite the asset of our party. Nothing suggests to me they're a threat to us, so let's just sit back and wait to see what happens. There's no harm in that, right?
Orixian shook his face, bewildered at Lux's response, as if he couldn't believe this was actually his Lux he was talking to. Since when is she not eager to stab something, especially if it might threaten Gribble? This now causing him to internally reflect and calculate for a moment.
Has my dear Lux gone batshit? Random powerful stalkers disguised as cute little friends hanging around kids all day. How does that not screamily pedophile to her? If her guard is this low, then who knows what Renrev is secretly getting away with? Oh, wait a damn minute. She did call the suspected humanoid Renrev suave a moment ago. Is that what's friggin' blinding her? For fuck's sake, she might need to get laid more than I do right now. Shit. I gotta make Lux see some sense here, before she gets hurt. You really think so, Lux? Please kindly humor me then, darling. How do you explain why powerful beings would want to get secretly close to a couple of children? What quality do you suppose our wards possess that powerful people would want from them?
Jeez, how am I supposed to answer that? I just know that Renrev is, well, pretty hot. But also fucking terrifying. I need something more solid to convince Orixian so he doesn't get hurt. I mean, Gribble has said that Renrev is a gift from the goddess Beatrice. Perhaps Momo is from Sylvania. Their powers could be blessings, right? I mean, who knows? Maybe they're the gods' champions.
Darling, I am well aware of how flexible you are, but even you are breaking your back on that stretch. Come on, Lux. Divinely chosen champions? Those have always been grand heroes and evils. Esteemed, talented warriors who have already earned the attention of nations and gods alike before being crowned with an otherworldly duty and then granted a wish for their epic service, that which will go down in history. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do think our kiddos are special in their own way, but they don't have anything they could possibly offer to the gods of that magnitude.
Hey, you're the one who said you think Tawiddy dropped a massive epic spell. I don't think you can honestly rule out that something divine might be going on, Orixian. We both have seen some crazy coincidental shit.
Okay, I hear you. Sorry. I suppose the fact that both of us, filthy, cold-hearted rogues, developed soft spots for stranded prodigy children around the same time has always felt like a bizarre and fateful coincidence. Small world shit, but yes, it's a god's world after all. So I can entertain the possibility that some vague divinity might be afoot. It's not like I don't pray.
By the way, do you recommend that?
Do I recommend what?
Prayer? Worship?
No, I don't recommend that.
Oh, then why do you do it?
Frankly, I'm just kissing ass. We're in the god of death's domain, so I figure better safe than sorry. You've seen his fiery volcanic monkey? I wouldn't want to be Ifrit's next snack, haha. But in all seriousness, I know and see the boatman works hard. Can't say the same for any other immortal. And at least Thanatos allows even non-worshippers like you to benefit from his boons and walk the halls of his ghostly realm here, right? I don't know, he seems kind of different from the rest of our cosmic overlords. But I'm not overly attached like some folk are.
To be honest, everyone around me seems to feel that way about whoever their personal favorite god is. There's always some level of tension going around because of it.
Exactly. So it's not worth the headache unless you think you have an immediate need or something to gain from it. Though for many, it seems to be a comforting thing, feeling reassured someone powerful always has their back. But personally, even though I'm a praying Thanite, I ain't gonna go running defense for someone I can't even look in the eye. Well, except Charon. It's not his fault he has no eyes. Ha! But anyway, now that you derailed my serious topic, let me ask you a random question, Lux.
Certainly. Ask away. Whatever gets him off and away from the topic of stabbing the mouse.
I'll go ahead and let her think I dropped the topic. But I swear, at this blasted wedding, I'm going to unmask either Momo or Renrev once and for all. But for now, I'll take a different attack of opportunity.
Orixian shifted his posture to lean back casually and open, though his eyes locking on hers, anticipating a game of hide-and-seek.
So, why is it that you wanted me with you at this wedding so damn badly?
Lux stiffened and averted her gaze toward the river, feeling embarrassed, but trying to play detached, cursing at herself for feeling vulnerable.
Sorry, I didn't mean to force your hand. You don't have to go, and I won't be upset with you if you wish to back out.
Orixian abruptly leaned forward now, tilting his head, not letting her line of sight be allowed to fully escape his own.
Nope. There's no backing out now, darling. Tawiddy's been cutely helping me rehearse, and I already got a whole backstory developed. You pushed for it, and now you're stuck with me.
Oh, interesting. Care to share those details?
No. It's a surprise that I plan to torture you with. Now please stop evading my question. Why did you want me to go to this wedding so badly?
Lux tried to harness as much stoicism as possible, smoothly hiding her clammy hands underneath her cloak.
It's no big deal. Mimith just thought you'd be a good addition to the cast with my crazy character. And she's been having a hard time lately, so it was a favor I thought I could cheer her up with. That's all. Yeah, it's definitely not the fact I'm nervous about everything that's gone down lately, leaving me feeling vulnerable. That coupled with this wedding being a potential public shit show. I just want someone reliable close by my side right now, and that's always been Orixian. I hate feeling needy, And worse, I hate burdening him.
Too preoccupied with her own anxious thoughts, Lux failed her insight check into Orixian as he slowly pulled himself back away from her, readjusting and seating himself casually again, but him now being the one looking off in the distance, avoidantly.
I see. Well, it sounds to me like Mimith has an eye for talent. Good for her.
He beamed a bright, cocky smirk to cheer her up as Lux smiled and rolled her eyes. Then the boat bell tolled for the arrival of Styx Summit, the immortal Charon and his feathered therapist Demetrius the Crow looming over them as the roguish duo started to gather themselves.
Everything we've been through together, and yet there's still a damned wall. Seems like our imprisonment set us 100 steps backward, and I can't even truly work on it because we're no longer party mates. Oh well. She doesn't need me anymore. It's best I start sucking that up now for both of our sakes. I gotta stop dwelling on it.
All right, slowpokes, get out of the boat! Move it!
Demetrius impatiently squawked, even though the boat hadn't quite settled yet. Today's phantom line being particularly longer than usual, thanks to the full moon, left the bird even more grumpy than usual. Unlike Charon, who more politely and pleasantly nodded his head, as if to thank the rogues for cooperating.
We're on our way. Stop yelling at the lady. Here, eat a death cracker. I highly recommend you spend your knocker points on these Lux. See you in a few days, darling.
Orixian said, pushing the salty snack into the crow's beak, then swiftly proceeded down Phantom Hall strangely fast ahead of her.
Wait, did Orixian seem off just now? Why was he in such a hurry? Oh shit. I think I heard him by not backing his plot to murder the mouse. Damn, did I make the wrong choice? It was the best I can do from a distance. Sorry, Orixian, but I need you alive. We have to find another way to solve that situation, but right now, I got a different problem to take care of.
Now alone once more, Lux returned the talent of insight to Ril'dilga's door. She still hasn't yet found the goblin woman's mentor, Gem Snatcha, but maybe someday. Lux then steadied herself in front of her father's death door as she knocked, and stepped straight into an augmented memory of the Feywild. Misty, champagne-fizzied air tasted of ripe peaches as she stood on a dark green hill. Then distant, frantic shouts revealed her father. He was captured by a snapdragon. The path required to save her father was treacherous. Immediately, a malicious fucker fairy, subspecies of fairy that embraces the full dark triad of personality traits, ended up tricking and hexing Lux, shrinking her into a child's body and diminished skill set. That hindrance causing her to fail, the battle required more wits than a child could muster. Lux downed a drink-me potion that made her grow massive claws. She cleverly dug underground, trying to uproot the weed, but she was not lucky nor strong enough. Thus, Lux had poetically dug her own grave, as the ground collapsed over her and buried her alive. Thus, the memory faded in failure, and the scene melted away like ink in water, to return to Noldorix's comforting Maypline Autumn death chamber. He chuckled heartily at her tragic comedy endeavor, while offering her a helping hand to stand back up.
And that, my dear, was how I met your mother. Well, except she succeeded in saving me.
I'm surprised Mother managed to save you from such a perilous creature, considering she couldn't even take care of herself.
Well, she had many ever-changing aspirations in the Fae. She had a somewhat lengthy stint being a fan of spears and martial arts, but she could never settle on one idea or identity, you know? From fashion to mountain monks to becoming a knight that lives in the Fae's summer castle.
That's quite random. She never mentioned anything remotely like that, nor did she seem interested in literally anything except studying her brews and keeping me under her thumb. You basically just described a stranger to me.
Yeah, I hear you. Lilith had a big shift there, from jumping into different fantasies insatiably, to recoiling into herself rigidly, though, even back in the Fae, there was a lot of stern pressure to take on her family's craft of magic brews. Don't get me wrong, her family are good-intentioned people, just a bit too hung up on tradition, you know? She adamantly pushed back against that until, well, until we went somewhere we shouldn't have and ate a really bad mango. Only then to wake up in the Central Commons realm.
I just don't understand. Why is it that you were able to stay sane and make the most of things, whereas she snapped? I mean, even before you died, she wasn't exactly right in the head, but it all became significantly worse after we lost you.
She and I were quite the pair, eh? Lilith wasn't right in the head and I lost my head. Ha 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 ha.
Lux forced a half smile, but couldn't bring herself to fake a laugh, her eyes trailing off into uncomfortable memories as Noldorix wilted a little.
Sorry, bad joke. But, Luthien, I also don't understand. Just how bad did your mother get after I died?
Really bad. So bad that I ran away. So bad that I felt safer in dangerous woods where children famously go missing than I did under her roof. But then when I came back home to see if she had learned her lesson...
Luxlung paused. The sounds from the memory of creaking ceiling support beams came back to taunt her like an old bully.
Instead, I was once again punished for the final time. Dad, I take it you still haven't heard anything from her?
Noldrix's eyes widened, shocked and sad. Him reading the meaning between Lux's words, his posture wavering a little as he shamefully looked away with guilt.
No, Hon. I still haven't heard anything from her. But Luthien, please, don't blame yourself for any of this. You were just a child. If anyone is responsible for Lilith taking that route, it's not you, it's me.
What do you mean? How can you even say that? It's not like you chose to go get your head lobbed off by a monster, Dad.
Well, no, but... my obsession with trying to return to the Feywild selfishly put us all in danger and directly led to that. Look, there's a lot of time to think and reflect on the past once you die, Luthi. I'm not trying to make excuses for Lilith, but we were young and our minds were still developing when we ended up stranded in a foreign realm with little to no resources. Then you add an absolutely wonderful and dearly loved but unplanned baby Luthi to the mix and, well, you know, radically changing our very cultures with little support. No one is going to come out of that situation right in their head, Hon. I had my own unhealthy ways to cope with it. I was just better at hiding it from you than Lilith was.
I don't know, Dad. All of my memories of you are fond. You were fun, thoughtful, and understanding. You cared about the things I cared about, whereas Mom was many things, but definitely none of that.
Lux instinctively crossed her arms over her center line, tightly protective, as her father sadly watched and sighed, torn within himself on how best to handle this, but lost. Because the daughter standing before him was a person he knew was going to take a long time to relearn. Since they're both adults now, he figured to himself, it's better he be honest so she can start to better know him and his own humanoid complications.
Luthi, I'm happy that you remember me fondly, and that I managed to leave you with some light in your dark life. But I still hold not a small part of the blame for you and your mother's misery. Even now, this is a little uncomfy to admit. But Lilith carried the home duties while I worked long hours. Then I'd come home, obsessed with trying to set out and find that damned fruit again. But when she needed my support the most, I was too tired for it. As if she wasn't also exhausted. I should have heard her out more. Instead, at every small opportunity, I hid in denial and focused on just having fun with you. leaving her to shoulder everything, all the worry, and all the fine details I never stopped to appreciate. I operated with a one-track mind. I thought returning to the Fae would magically fix all of our problems. So I didn't care if more problems developed in the meantime. My intentions were good, but very stupid in hindsight. And that arrogance resulted in my neglecting the love of my life. And then I died, and everything else I assume must have fallen onto her and made her snap. I fear that my actions are what set her up to fail you, and I am so sorry for that to both of you. There's no credit earned for realizing all these things far too late to make any difference. So I shouldn't be surprised that Lilith is ignoring my attempts to reach her in death, and I assume you still haven't found her death door either.
I haven't been a phantom rogue that long, so I've barely scratched the surface of oblivion. While what you say, I guess, adds some context to my mother, it's still not much, considering what she put me through. Sorry, Dad. I actually came to inform you that I recently received my mother's journal from Alondra.
Ah, Alondra, how is she, by the way? She was always so good to us.
I don't know. Seemingly good enough, I guess. We aren't close.
What? Really? But was she not the one who took you in after Lilith, you know?
Yeah, Alondra took me in, but I don't want to talk about it. That's a whole other can of worms.
Oh, okay. Damn, I'm doing real bad today with you, huh? I'm so sorry, Luthi. I just am stumbling trying to get to know you still.
It's fine, Dad. I know it's nothing you could possibly anticipate, but anyway, according to her journal, after I ran away and before her death, there was some weird shit that was going on with a strange man. That might have... I don't know how to put it.
Weird shit. Strange man. I don't understand what, if anything, you're trying to imply.
Just a strange tiefling man who was researching the quarantine zone and Fae phenomena when I ran away. They were working close together to try and find me. But some things are suspicious, but some of it is hard to tell because my mother's fucking crazy. I coincidentally bumped into him months ago, and there's a lot of complicated things going on with him and...
I'm sorry, Luthi. I'm finding all of this really hard to follow.
I don't fully know what to make of everything yet. It's a lot. But I am looking into it, and when I figure it out, I promise I'll try to muster the heart to tell you everything.
Noldric's brows furrowed, looking over his daughter's naturally shrinking form worriedly, badly wanting to help her, but afraid of accidentally pushing any other boundaries he was unaware of. So instead, he defaulted to how he coped best and went with a fast distraction for them both. Them sharing a cute misunderstanding and chuckle as Lux bragged about taking down a scorpion. At first, Noldrix, thinking she meant just one you could stomp with a boot rather than a big-ass demon. And after a bit of casual chatter helped rejuvenate their vibes at least a little bit. Noldrix and Lux embraced, and they quietly parted ways as our phantom headed to knock on the death door performance. The door opening to reveal the death room of dear Rahana. The scene depicting a memory of a desert night, she wrapped in beautiful, patterned cloth alongside ghostly images of a younger Grill Redium and herself as a child as he was showing her how to make a meal out of what she had scavenged. Rahana expressed deep gratitude to Lux for sticking her own neck out to save both herself and Gregis from Gikarin Sliverfell, that which let them live at least a few days longer.
It was no problem. Gikarin had it coming. It's really not fair she got to be resurrected while everyone else, you know.
Many of us victims of the massacre have embraced a tragic but comforting silver lining, that we are very lucky in death to be able to process our trauma together, though that leaves particularly myself and Gregis worried for dear Cassius.
Yeah, I'll admit he's had a hard time. but he also seems to little by little be pushing forward. I can attest that he's in good company and definitely keeps you all in his thoughts.
I'd suspect nothing differently. Please send him our love. And for yourself, do know that Gregis will be envious when I tell them you visited my door. After Ildilga shared you were a phantom rogue, our tiefling friend has been eagerly awaiting you to find him.
Gregis is missed by all of us. I look forward to when our paths cross in oblivion. But Rahana, aside from obviously Cassius, is there anything I can do for you?
Yes, actually, if it's no trouble and you're in need of knocker points. Even though we dead people don't need sustenance, that doesn't remove the inherent desire to sit down and socialize while consuming something. So I'd like to share a dish with my friends. Makluba. It's a big savory rice cake. It shouldn't be too hard to find in Tequila.
No problem. The next time I plan to visit Oblivion, I'll be sure to pick that up for you first.
One more thing before I let you go, Lux. There's something that I've only just recently realized that I think you and your friends should be aware of.
Rehana lifted her sleeve to show Lux her ghostly forearm, as she pointed to a thin, slightly darkened, raised ridge about 1.5 inches long.
Every so often it changes location to somewhere seemingly random. I did not think anything of it until I noticed Gregis had one too, then Grill, and then one after another. Together we've consistently been finding these exclusively within Zambu victims. Demetrius the Crow and Care the Boatman. They had said, it isn't unheard of for some curses to be strong enough to persist in death. We're not too worried, since it seems minor and, well, we're dead. But I'm not sure if this might affect you and your fellow survivors or not.
Huh, that's odd. Well, thank you for bringing it to my attention. I'll keep an eye out, and if I learn anything more, I'll be in touch. Thank you, Rahana.
No, Lux, thank you. We did not get to know each other, but I know you've done a lot. Please stay safe out there and enjoy your life.
Lux and Rahana bowed and waved goodbye. Then our rogue finished off her phantom dive, feeding some limbs to the fantastical beast, Ifrit the Eidolon. Then as Lux's essence sought to return back to her own trancing esper, she had lost control of her own trance once again, invaded and trapped in her own mind, as glass split from underneath her feet and pulled out of the astral domain and into the black abyss of the network. And next we have our Goliath Thotham. Within a dream, he was standing in a massive, sweltering, black brick forge. The most ornate forge he had ever seen, but without any exit. The walls depict vivid murals of tieflings rising up against their oppressors, their eyes blazing with defiance as they shatter their own chains. One tiefling in particular leads them on the battlefield, holding a glowing weapon that repels the enemies. Not just any weapon, but perhaps an ultimate weapon. The forge air shimmers with heat, and the roar of the flames echo hungrily. As he took a step back, Thotham noticed the floor beneath his feet was pooled blood, the metallic tang of the crimson iron indistinguishable from the scent of molten metal. The flames of the forge suddenly flare, flickering outside of its vessel until a small flaming humanoid shape steps out from it, walking gently towards Thotham, until the flames engulfing the small figure gradually dampen to reveal the translucent image of a young human girl with pretty, dark, auburn hair. She is dressed prim and proper, but with tired eyes and a dejected demeanor. She seems around 13 years old, give or take. Incoherent whispers surrounded the room ominously as she seemingly listened while rolling her eyes.
We can skip this step. I will never have children, and nothing can change my mind about that.
The whispers call back with beckoning yet mocking curiosity. The young girl's arms cross, her brows furrow, and she scoffs at the incoherent messenger, as Thotham simply watches, very confused as to what the heck is going on.
Because what kind of mother would I be to pass this curse on to a child? Let alone that other thing. If I'm so lonely in the future, then I'll adopt a damn dog!
The whispers seem to laugh at her, but then drone on and on, as her posture sags exhaustively while looking at the anvil, begrudgingly.
Okay, fine. I'll play along. Might just get the stupid thing over with.
The child's face straightened and moved upward to address where Thotham stood. But at no point does her gaze reach higher than just above his belly button, seemingly not anticipating a Goliath-sized individual to be her future child.
Hello there! My name is Clarity, and if you exist, then I'm so sorry to report that makes you my future child. So, Spawn, what name did I end up giving you?
Thotham stood bewildered for a moment. He can't even remember his mother's face, yet now he's suddenly confronted with her distant past in crystal clear view, confirming he really is a Blue Moon child after all. Thotham struggled to imagine just how his reclusive a father ended up coupled with an outside clan human.
Well, it's nice to finally meet you, Mom. You went on to name me Thotham.
Wow, that's a terrible name.
Well, whose fault is that? I'm not the one that picked it.
Just kidding. I can't even see or hear you, kiddo. You don't exist yet, if ever. This is just a magic recording.
Oh, right. That makes a lot more sense.
But, since I'm being forced to go through with this stupid ritual, do your poor mother a favor and humor my questions anyhow. Hopefully adult me pre-warned you that this day would come, and that she was in a bad mood when making this recording.
Nope. No one warned me. But hey, at least I'm sure your bad mood can't be as bad as your shitty ex-husband's frequently was.
All right, buckle up, kiddo. Let me get one thing out of the way first. If you do exist, then oops, my bad. Us kids aren't given a choice of being born or not. And I begrudge that fact every day. But hopefully I did an okay job? I don't know. You tell me. Was I a good mom to you? If you're bottling it up, now's the time to rip into me without consequence.
Well, I can say you did a good job of not being around for me to have any opinion of you. It's like we're meeting for the first time right now, Mom. And from the sounds of what you're saying, it's starting to seem like you just didn't want me and might have just ditched me with an awful man.
Woo, that's great news! Or, sorry that happened. Whichever applies, you figure it out. I'm too tired. I'll just say the least I can hope for was that your childhood was better than mine. If I became a mom, I think that would be my biggest fear for you. Which is why I'm not going to become one.
Thotham stared at the young girl a moment, a bit torn, hearing his mother so steadfastly curse the possibility of his existence. He never knew why she left, and some piece of him as a child had always hoped she was out there missing and longing for him, like he had for her. But maybe not.
Well, even if you didn't want me, I can still understand your feelings, Mom. You seem like you have a lot on your shoulders at such a young age. I can relate to that.
All right, now I'm going to walk you through crafting your personified ultimate weapon. Step 1. Choose your weapon mold. Make sure your choice reflects yourself as much as possible. And naturally, please tell me why you chose this weapon.
Thotham didn't hesitate as he pushed the other molds aside and reached for the biggest and heaviest-looking Warhammer mold available.
I feel like most weapons are designed to draw blood and leave a lasting scar behind. Whatever they touch, it's meant to separate or destroy something. A hammer, though, dares to be different. It's both a weapon and a tool for creators. After all, a hammer helps temper every weapons in a forge. It doesn't need to leave a mark in order to have a long-lasting impact. Its heavy weight carries the burden of its responsibility. When I fight, and what I fight for, I want to rise up to those values.
Hey, nice choice. Well, that is unless you picked a sword. Because if so, then I need to immediately disown you for being a boring normie. But as for me, I personally chose a battle axe. I've been warned it's not just people that will come for us if we run away, but even the trees will hunt us too. But with an axe, I'm ready for them. Tree or man, I will strike down and escape this place. Or die trying, I guess. Thankfully, something higher than myself has promised to help me, so hopefully I won't need to activate this curse in order to escape. Aside from that, my choice is because axes are the main tool used to sever a tree from its roots. And I wish to be freed from my roots.
Thotham felt bittersweet at hearing his mother's thoughts. On one hand, feeling warmly unsurprised at her defiance and willpower. If he got that from anyone, it had to be from her. On the other hand, despite not understanding what this curse even is, he nonetheless was starting to understand her reluctance about having kids, seeing as she was willing to risk her own life to get out of her situation.
I too had to cut off my roots in order to be free. That's an interesting way to look at an axe. I appreciate your logic there, Mom.
Alrighty, step 2. All weapons made here within the Legendary Misfortunes Forge are magically silvered. But you need to choose an enhancing property to coat the mold in. Your choice should be made based not on your weaknesses, but on what abilities you are best at. That'll make the uniqueness of your ultimate weapon more impactful. So, pick your oil from the bottles here and answer my next question. Often, something in life forces us to enhance and rely on a certain skill. So, tell me, what happened in your life that forced you to develop this ability you've chosen?
Thotham was caught between two ability bottles, but searched deep inside himself to realize the one that was truly most important and formative in who he has become today.
I'm gonna go with wisdom. And the reason why I had to develop this, Mom, is because the piece of shit you had a child with filled my head with smoke, venom, and lies. I thought I could help him recover from his trauma. But much like this weapon, I was nothing but something to be used by him. Then, after losing someone dearly close to me, who gave me the wisdom that another path was possible, and additionally, then being betrayed by someone I thought I could trust, I've since wisely learned the lesson that independent of anything I do, anyone can change, be it for better or for worse, or not at all. I've learned I can only control myself. If not for the insight I had choosing to defy my father, without that wisdom I simply wouldn't be the me that's standing here today. As for that other guy that I could have turned into if I evaded wisdom into my father's footsteps, well, let's just say I know I wouldn't like that version of me.
I'm glad you came through the other side of whatever the heck you just said. Personally, I chose wisdom. It's important for me to be aware of what's going on around me and who's trying to manipulate my siblings and I. Many seek to weaponize us for our curse. May I always maintain the wisdom to not subject a future child of mine to this. And once I am out of here, I must promise to myself to remain wise and never let myself be controlled by someone else ever again. I feel like having kids would just make that harder to achieve. If you do somehow exist, then the least I can do for you from the past is to let you know that if you hate me, take comfort in the fact that I know I probably deserve that. On behalf of the future me, I'm so sorry you're going through this. And trust me, I also know that sorry isn't enough. But in this powerless form of myself, that's all I got for you, kiddo. I truly just didn't want you to suffer.
The funny thing you don't realize, Mom, is that your past self here just gave me more compassion, consideration, and self-reflection than my father ever has my whole life. I'm sorry that you failed in your endeavor to spare my existence from this curse, but I don't hate you for that. If anything, Mom, it makes me want to understand you even more.
Phew, boy, I got a little teary-eyed there. Sorry. Pretty lame considering I'm talking to literally nothing. But thankfully, we're almost done here. Step 3. Turn this lever to start dispensing the mana-enhanced molten silver mix into the mold. And then you can slide that bad boy into Misfortunes Forge. It's gonna be a hot minute while it cooks, but at least this magical forge does the heavy labor part for us because, wow, I hate the heat. But while we wait, tell me, kiddo, what keeps you motivated to carry on? What are your biggest dreams? And what does a happy ending sound like for you?
Aside from my faith in the Justice Seeker and some kind of vision my mentor Ulfgar Thorin has to share with me, I have much unfinished business that keeps me going whether I like it or not. I need to save myself and others from some kind of fungus curse, because apparently one curse isn't enough. I also need to give my dear fallen friend the proper hero's burial she deserves. And when I go back home to do that, I also gotta beat the shit out of your ex-husband for being a selfish asshole. Other than that, it would also be nice to clear my name and put some corrupt government officials in their place. All while following my duty as a war cleric and fending off the influences of Asmodeus, the father of lies. After all that, I don't know. I guess I just want to settle down into a peaceful life surrounded by people I care for. Plenty of food, beer, and cheer. Maybe own a tavern. My friends can come visit whenever. Or maybe that's too much work. I haven't deeply thought about it.
I'm conflicted on telling you to hold on to your dreams and keep fighting for them. Or telling you to try to temper your expectations because, spoiler alert, the world sucks and existence is pain. But I guess it's better to die trying to make the world yours, rather than die simply submitting to it? How's that for optimism? Sorry, I'm not very good at that. As for me, though, right now I keep living for 2 reasons. The first, I want to protect and help my many siblings, especially my little sister who I'm closest to. The second reason? Spite. No further notes. But as for my biggest dreams...
Thotham was pleasantly caught off guard, as for the first time in this dreamy vision, his young mother seems to stare off entranced. A soft, wondrous smile crawls up her tired face sweetly, she clearly taking comfort in the fantasy within her mind's eye.
My dream is to run away from this manor and get out of this stupid city. I'll move as far up north as possible and live the exact opposite life. Instead of littered pavement, mana burn, and obnoxious luxury, I will instead seek the quiet of the forests, the soft earthen floor, and survive off of my own skills and not need to rely on others ever again. If I haven't already made it clear, I friggin' hate the heat, and I despise summer. It reminds me too much of the damn forge. But I love snow, and I heard in Thaldorn, sometimes snow falls up. What does that even mean? I don't know, but I want to go and see it for myself and be surprised. That's my goal! My late brother once told me that the clan's lands aren't owned by the Empire. So even if they chase us, so long as we can cross that border, they can't force us back into this awful manor. So, happy ending for me? Well, aside from being surrounded by adorable dogs, my closest little sister, and any other of my siblings willing to escape with us, they could all be my neighbors. I want to study herbalism. I want to dig my fingers into the raw soil, pluck leaves from the highest trees, make nourishing, cozy teas, and help treat others' pain. Existence needs less of that, you know? Life has to be give and take, after all, so that's how I can give back.
A Thalak had once in the past snapped at Thotham, stating bitterly to him, like mother, like fucking son. And those words turned out to be far truer than Thotham had ever realized. He smiled at her dreams and felt a little bit relieved.
Hearing that gives me some hope that you did find happiness, Mom. You can't hear me, but you did it. You made it to Thaldorn, and I know you have at least one wonderful seeming wolf. Maybe because you achieved that, you did end up changing your mind and chose to birth a son. I won't get my hopes up, but I think now there's at least a chance.
Before we pull your weapon out of the forge, I need you to take what I'm about to say very seriously. Once upon a time, I had an older brother I adored and looked up to. Within this manor, all of us children are raised with the idea that our curse is actually a blessing, that if we do as our fathers suggest, we can achieve paradise. We're told we are symbols of heroic history, and our duties are noble and righteous. When it was my brother's turn to take up that mantle, I counted the days for his return. I dreamed of the proud stories he would come back with. However, the man that returned was not the brother I knew, but someone who had the life stolen from his very eyes. Over time, when he visited us, his defiance grew. His last words to me were only, "Promise me, don't go through with it. Run before your debut." Then he tried to sabotage our fathers and expose them. But he was caught and arrested. Then inside his cell, he destroyed himself. He scratched into the stone walls the words, "It's all lies." I still have a lot of planning to do, if I want to be able to save as many of my siblings as possible. Thankfully, I still got time. Please, listen. No amount of money or glory is worth it. None. If you're going to initiate the curse, let it be for selfish reasons, ones you'll never regret. Make sure whoever benefits from your curse is someone you trust and love, like our ancestor who helped liberate the tieflings. But ideally, you should just never activate it. I'm really hoping this higher power comes through for me. Like me, you should first seek as many other options possible before ever considering curse initiation. I'm not lying. I'm being deathly serious here. Got it?
Got it. I am really glad you escaped all this, Mom. I don't know what any of this is, but I'll heed your warning if it ever comes my way. Thankfully, I'm not very materialistic anyhow, so I don't think anyone is going to be able to tempt me. Ironically, that's another thing you and I seem to have in common. Thankfully, I have the Justice Seeker's light to guide me, and that light was last seen with you. So, I'll listen to you. If and when the day comes that we finally get to meet, I hope that you won't turn me away, and we can talk at least once, face to face.
You better believe it. Or else, I'll come find you and throw your butt in the forge myself. But okay, I'll assume you get the point and stop nagging you. It's time for the final step, kiddo.
As the young Clarity went to instruct how to reopen the forge and safely retrieve the weapon, suddenly she began to glitch out. Molten chains erupt from behind the behemoth structure, wrapping around the forge, preventing it from being accessed. The flames within start to threateningly combust and overheat. Entirely separate from this dream, something else seemed to take over. Another figure with monstrous shape. It was far larger than Thotham. It swirled from above and spun through the room like an erratic fireball. It peeling into the wall, burning down the historical tiefling mural, and then fast charging straight for Thotham. But suddenly more molten chains made haste, whipping at the violent blaze like a snake snapping on its prey, fast coiling around it. Thotham grabbed the nearest flame retardant, emptying its nozzle into the restrained monster and dulling it for a moment. But its heat only came roaring back, twice as furious as the monster stretched its arms, reaching for a cornered Thotham's neck. Its venomous growl lowered, then leaked words tinged with hatred.
The Central Commons all say, remember the tieflings. The Fae say, remember the goblins. The Abyss says, remember the Forgotten One. But none ever say, remember the Anubi. I will make you remember me. You know who I am. Say my damn name. Say it now.
The room was hellishly hot, and yet this familiar voice sent a chill down Thotham's spine. He forgot about this being, but it didn't matter, because his body still remembered. He didn't know how or why, but somehow Thotham spoke its ironic name, that which had nothing to do with the room they both found themselves in together.
Your name, it was... Forge.
And don't you dare fucking forget it! Never again!
Suddenly the dream shifts to a memory. The room disappears, and a new forge takes its place. Not a furnace, but a snarling shadow that stalks the back of Thotham's infant mind. Its guttural growl carried hate into Thotham's ears that no one else around him could hear. For Thotham, it was only when snuggled up to the comforting fur coat of Hu-In the wolf that the monster inside would retreat. But Hu-In and his mother vanished one day. and the spirit of Forge tormented the poor, wordless child at his weakest, though that would not last for too long, as Forge was silenced after some kind of violent ritual was performed on baby Thotham. Thotham, now observing the memory of his panic-stricken father, pacing anxiously while watching his baby son with a distressed and worried stare as he pleaded with grandmother Ilagu.
Please, Mother, I don't think he's going to make it through this. Stop the ritual now!
Silence, Tholoc! If Thotham can't survive this, then he won't survive existence! I warned you about her, but you did not listen. And now this poor child must pay the price for her selfish stupidity. The Gatha-Kanathi bloodline is strong. Bring yourself to believe it will protect my grandchild.
Thotham shouldn't be capable of recalling this memory, as he was far too young. But this bloodied vision as a thrashing, despairing infant isn't actually Thotham's memory, but Forge's memory, looking through Thotham's tiny, strained eyes, as Forge's spirit was once again forcibly restrained and silenced. Then all went bloody red from whatever Ilagu was doing to the baby's skull, before melting into the table and fading to black. Thotham opened his eyes once more in the darkness, a grown man, once again. He whipped his head to the left. All he could see was glowing fangs and red feral eyes searing into him. Then whipped his head to the right, and the flickering flames of the overcombusting, grandiose forge scattered violently. But then, straight ahead, was a light, as Huin the Wolf wagged his tail, patiently waiting for Thotham to reach him. Our Goliath took a step forward towards the wolf, but then beneath his feet, the glass cracked. And in its reflection, the Greater Mother's eyes stared with an eerie longing and a sympathetic beckoning. Thotham attempted to run, but the glass fast shattered underneath his weight, and he fell through again. Multiple curses swirl within Thotham, and all of them are competing against each other in order to claim him. But all are restrained by magical chain, impatiently waiting for their opportunity to break free.
All right, kiddo. It's your turn now. I'm rooting for you. Meet you whenever I do, I guess. Bye for now. Take care.
Next we have Tarthellemew's nightmare. His body was laying in a barren field under a blood-red sky, his breathing barely perceptible and autonomic. But Tarth's actual consciousness was simply staring down at himself? The ground is littered with bones, and his mangled body was being pecked by crows. The Harangon's vacant eyes were glazed over, his mouth unnaturally wide open, as one side of the jaw was ripped and unhinged, and Tarth could feel the feathered creature inside his chest twitch in response to the crow's painful gnawing at the wounds of his declawed hands. Tarth, for the first time ever, could sense the desire of the creature within himself that grasps at his heart with its razor-sharp talons. But similar to Tarth himself, he could tell, this creature just wants to be freed. Tarth and this thing are both suffering. While Tarth has trained himself to be a master of dissociation, that's a privilege that the creature inside his chest is entirely incapable of, for it never sleeps and forever stirs. Malice began to radiate out of Tarth's limp, beaten body, emanating from his feathered intruder. All while the air echoed with the eerie skitters and the subtle laughs of the demon that had tortured Tarth.
Pytharis! Stop fucking around and come face me, you coward!
A wicked branch coiled from out of Tarth's chest and crawled up to wrap around his arm like a snake, the tip of the branch expanding itself to show the carved face of the legendary Baba Yaga.
So is that the name of whatever the fuck did this to you? It looks like you've been touched by a demon. I certainly can't allow that to go unpunished.
Oh, like you're one to fucking talk.
Whoa there, cowboy. Where did this attitude come from? I thought you said we were friends.
What the hell did you do to me? What is this vision depicting malice leaking out of my damn chest?
Oh my god. Why are you being so dramatic? Take a fucking chill pill, boy. This isn't some omen. You're just having a nightmare. It seems you've got some unresolved trauma fucking with you, that's all. Here, I'll make it go away. Vicio Nocturnavale!
Suddenly, the disturbing imagery fades away and Tarth's senses are restored back to baseline. He he and Yaga alone in darkness above a slowly splintering glass floor. Nonetheless, Tarth clenched his chest, struggling to calm down the creature stirring within.
Now, explain what the hell happened to your claws. Your fingers look like busted sausages, yuck.
That's the least of my concerns right now. I need you to tell me what this torturous thing in my chest is. Why did you do this to me?
Excuse me, what's your fucking tone with me? That's strike two, and I won't warn you again. Now, first of all, bunny boy, I told you from the very fucking beginning, the thing in your chest is my seed, or in other words, my son. And need I also remind you, Tarth? Who was it that helped you escape from being chased by Mycorji in the Feywild? Who was it that helped you get back to your home realm, Tarth? Well...
Tarth grit his teeth obstinately, struggling to restrain himself. But his very body knew he was no match for the hag. If he wanted answers, he needed to instantly calm himself and annoyingly feign falling into her manipulative game.
You did, Granny Yaga. It was you that saved me from being chased and brought me back home.
Yes, it was me, wasn't it? That's right. Good, let's keep jogging that scrambled brain of yours. When I saved you, Tarth, what is the one simple thing I asked you to do?
All the stress of everything that has recently happened to Tarth genuinely had made it slip his mind. The question now bringing it back to the forefront as he internally kicked himself.
You simply asked me to plant your seed into the ground as soon as I got back to land.
Ah, but Tarth! Of your own free will, what did you end up doing with my seed instead?
I made it into a necklace for safekeeping.
And while we're on the topic, Tarthy, why in the fuck did you go and do that?
Because I bumped into a majestic dragon in the surface ethereal, who advised me to wait to plant it. She asked me to amuse her by hanging onto the seed for as long as I could handle it.
And how did that work out for you, Tarth?
Not very good.
And who's to blame for that, Tarth?
I guess the answer is me. It's my fault.
Well, is the nosy dragon amused yet?
Dunno. Never saw it again. But I sure hope so. Or else my suffering has been for fucking nothing.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Renrev, but I believe we confirmed that the dragon Tarth encountered was indeed the goddess Beatrice.
Ha! Oopsie daisy! First the seed, then your poor claws. You see, Milady Dea didn't know what to make of the legendary Baba Yaga's aura reeking off of a random-ass bunny. So she stuck a fate thread in him to watch and see what would happen. But hey, who's to say he wouldn't have been worse off had he obeyed the most evil hag in existence? Also, Tarth may have never met his current friends if not for that fate thread. If only he was a Dea worshipper, then Tarth would have access to much better luck as her dedicated pawn.
Well, is Our Lady of Luck and Tricks amused by all this? Is this the best part of the game for your kind? Fucking with people just because you can? Condescending life itself by objectifying everyone into mere game pieces?
Mr. Narrator, one thing to understand about how we immortals use the word amused is that it refers to anything other than boredom. To us, it's all a synonym from ethereal bliss to abject despair. So with that in mind, yes, our court has been absolutely amused by all this. That same fate thread fucked us over with Heckma. It made the game harder, thus more amusing. The fact we ended up in possession of the very wild card Zugtmoy wants, even though Tarth isn't even our pawn, is quite a lucky break for us. Little trollish successes like that does get our court giddy. But I wouldn't call it the best part of the game we immortals play. I don't think we've found that part yet. But I do suspect every day we're getting a little closer.
Well, good for you, Renrev. And there you go, Tarth. Your suffering hasn't been for totally nothing. It's helped support the whims of these morally bankrupt, all-powerful assholes.
Oh, come now, Mr. Narrator, that's not a unique description for my kind. Surely you can come up with a sharper, more pointed insult than that.
Why don't you get a real damn job?
Are you saying childcare isn't a real job? Mr. Narrator, I did not take you for a sexist.
I'm not taking that bait. You know exactly what I meant. Back to our scene with the evil hag.
He's so cute when he's angry.
And surely, Tarthy, you recall me telling you I had to burrow my seed in your chest because otherwise Zugtmoy would have detected my aura. I can't have her finding out that I was the one that saved you. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would definitively destroy Zugtmoy in a fight, and she knows that too. But she'd probably leave a lasting mark on my pretty face, and that would be most unfortunate. If only you followed directions, Tarth, then neither of us would be in this predicament. But, lucky for you, I am a very forgiving person.
Look, Granny Yaga, this thing, your son or whatever, it's killing me. I can feel it clawing at my heart, and the pain is becoming way too much to bear. That is not helping my shitty mood right now. I need to get this thing out of my chest fast.
All right, I hear ya. But let's backtrack a moment. You yelling unfair accusations at me was distracting. Look, Tarth, I was and really am worried about you. I want to help, but I need to know who is responsible for violently declawing you. How did that even happen?
Long story short, I got abducted by a demon-possessed giant scorpion who was trying to torture me into giving it my esper. Thankfully, my friends came to the rescue and managed to radiate that fiend to dust. We discovered the demon's name was Pytharis and sent him back to Infernus. But since fiends can't be killed outside of their realm, clearly that fact must have me a bit more on edge than I realized. I'm a little worried about how he's still out there and might try to get revenge and come back to finish the job he started. There. Now you're all caught up.
Thank you. I'm oh so grieved to hear all this, and I won't stand for it. You're my favourite project in a long time. So that little demonic fuckhead might as well have stolen directly from me.
And that is a big fucking mistake.
So I'll tell you what, Tarth. You've been helpful to my spine on Zugtmoy's network, so why don't we see what the Greater Mother has in store for us, since it's already beneath your feet here. And then, by the time you and your friends wake up, one of my best birds will come for you. As a reward for your help, I will help you get your claws and sense of pride back. Then after that's done, it does seem you're strong enough now where we can discuss separating my son from your chest cavity, all right? Is that agreeable to you, or do you have more to squawk about?
Tarth felt nervous. Could Yaga really get his claws back? And what would removing the creature inside his chest entail? Likewise, is getting this removed by Yaga now versus getting it potentially removed by Akramana later for the best? Tarth wasn't sure. He quietly introspected, wondering ways he might try to bargain for Princess Verenestra's safety, but revealing he knows about all that too soon seemed like a huge risk that could just endanger them all further. So he dismissed it for now. But that aside, Tarth figured it had to be at least worth hearing the hag out about removing her feathered son from his chest and fixing his missing claws.
Fine. Sounds like a plan. Sorry about my attitude. I've been through a lot lately, but I appreciate your help, Granny Yaga. Let's get this network thing done and over with.
You just need to remember that I'm not your enemy, Tarth. I could almost see you like a grandson. You don't remember it, but you and I got oh so close to each other. That is, before Zugtmoy kept you locked away from me. It made me very sad, and that's why I wanted to help you. So I'm glad we get to be together and make up for that lost time now.
Every word out of her wrinkled mouth made Tarth want to spit on the ground and lunge at her conniving fucking face. But he couldn't. He was in no position to do so. Tarth knows he must bitterly swallow his hate for the hag and pretend everything is honky-dory. For now.
Of course. Whatever you say, Granny Yaga. Whatever you say.
Yes, good boy, Tarth. Now, jump!
And thus, our Harengon once again leapt through the glass, with an epically evil hag wrapped around his arm, falling into Zugtmoy's network. Lastly, within Mimith's dream, she found herself standing in front of an ornate mirror once again. Her reflection stared back, the background depicting a raging hailstorm encasing trees, animals, and even her mirrored self in thick ice. The Mimith in the mirror struggled, her movements down to mere twitches as the ice cracked around her. The fractures sprang across not just herself, but the mirror's surface too. But rather than run or dodge, Mimith sought to beat the mirror's destruction to the punch, barraging it with her sword as glass shards went flying, some grazing her thick scales as the rest glittered down like rain. But among the bulk of debris, something pulsed below where the mirror previously stood. A brain, grotesque and alive, partially covered in webbed fungal growths, the sound of scared whimpering coming from the brain. Mimith curiously poked her sword into the organ, suddenly feeling a searing headache reach her own skull. Whatever whimpered from before now yelped. Mimith, now quickly realizing there was some kind of connection between her and this brain, she moved more to carefully lift it up. Her fingers pressing into the wet membrane now felt as her own head was getting nauseatingly caressed, making her want to puke, so she put it back down. But while crouching down, Mimith noticed a flash of white that hid on the other side of the brain, she now observing its quivering.
Hello? Are you okay?
After some time, Mimith gulped as no response came, but clearly something was there at least a moment ago.
Oh gods, please don't let this be a thing that jumps out and attacks me.
The fighter-class monster hunter was feeling nervous about something that was no bigger than 4 inches. Steeling herself now, Mimith very carefully lifted a knee from the floor to try and quietly stretch and peek around the brain. She then being able to spot an adorable tiny creature. The poor thing was shaking nervously. It looked like a prematurely hatched dragonborn crossed with a button mushroom.
Ah, you're just a cute little thing.
It jumped at the sudden sound of her voice. Mimith immediately froze, not wanting to scare the poor thing further as it ran backwards with anxious breath. Mimith stretched to gently reach her hand softly beside it, trying to offer some symbolism that she meant no harm. After a few skeptical moments, the little creature slowly opened both of its big blue eyes, and Mimith passed her persuasion check as it very cautiously walked into her palm, and she slowly lifted the cute thing closer to her face.
Don't worry, it's okay. I'm not going to drop you. You're safe with me. My name is Mimith. Do you have a name?
Name?
It looked at her confused. It was able to tell she was trying to communicate, but their language clearly was not the same. However, Mimith's player at the table seemingly could not deduce that it couldn't understand her character.
Wait, do you not have one?
Again, the little creature looked at her dizzily before simply repeating the last word she spoke.
One?
Oh, so your name is One.
The DM facepalmed before imposing a simple DC 5 insight check for both Mimith and the player to decipher that the creature was only able to mimic the last word it heard. However, the dice revealed a fucking natural one, and thus by Dea's will, the DM handed the player a marker to write on the creature's blank name tag, forever naming it One.
That is indeed very amusing. You could consider this situation a 1-for-1, eh?
Between this and earlier in the game with Thotham impulsively naming his curse monster Forge, after the room he was simply fucking standing in, the DM was now caught in a spell of sad maniacal cope laughing. But anyway, with Mimith now confident and convinced this creature intelligently revealed its name to her, she thankfully at least chose an alternate spelling, utilizing the past tense of winning 1 rather than the literal number 1. This was the DM's favorite moment of the entire game. Thank you, player Jillian. That unexpected headache aside, the creature warmed up to Mimith quickly once convinced she wasn't going to eat it. Enthusiastically, this button of a draconic fungus leapt from her palm, then revealed its interest in painting by dipping its foot in the pooling blood of the brain, and drew a surprisingly okay simplistic portrait on the floor of a smiling Mimith.
Aw, thank you! That's so sweet! Here, let me draw you too!
Mimith took her sword, passing the tip through the blood to draw the mini-cutie next to her portrait. It hopped up and down in warm excitement, immediately recognizing itself. And then the little one sweetly drew a line of sorts connecting their portraits together, as it looked up at Mimith, enthusiastically awaiting her reaction.
You're such a cutie! It looks like communicating through pictures is easier for both of us, huh? Well, I don't quite know what you are, but you seem nice to me. So I'm happy to be friends.
Friends?
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
This poor thing still had no idea what the fuck Mimith was saying, and a natural one meant she still hadn't figured it out. But the little one nonetheless liked the sound of Mimith's voice and trying to mimic and learn words from her. However, their playtime suddenly disrupted as the glass shards on the ground started to vibrate and ominously move on their own, gliding across the floor, recompiling themselves one by one to create a new cracked surface that revealed a dark abyss awaiting beneath. Little one watched, enthused, and seemingly felt tempted to pounce the glass like a child would the crispy fallen leaves in autumn.
That glass is sharp. Please be careful.
Careful?
Right, I don't know if you've been there before, little one, but I'm pretty sure that's the network. It's a dangerous place. But if you stay close with me, I'll make sure to keep you safe, all right?
All right.
The little one gleefully walked into Mimith's extended palm again, as Mimith took her foot and smashed the glass once more, and with her new companion now safely tucked into her, they together descended into the abyss. The party now reunited in the pre-network Mycorji. After some uncomfy conversation with Yaga, the player party now traversed through the same glass panel from back in game session 10. The Fallen's Fellowship waking up on frost-kissed stone of the outdoor castle loggia, that which sits atop a mighty mountain in Wolfsburg. Among the courtyard, trees were petrified mid-sway, fountains frozen mid-cascade, and statues' faces faded by storms. Thankfully, no Tyrule in sight this time. But Orixian, Mimith's maternal grandmother, sat motionless in her wheelchair looking over the cliff edge, down into the rolling mists. An earth-shaking roar of a dragon rattled the scene, coming from deep within the castle. Its magnificent bellow left Mimith with a strange feeling. As she succeeded her insight check, her eyes involuntarily began to well up empathetically, as she detected loneliness, pain, and desperation from the dragon's roar. The party rose up and nodded for Mimith to take the lead with her own grandmother, as she stepped forward to Orixian nervously. Mimith pushed her grandmother for information about their family, and desired to know more about the dragon, but she evaded.
Running away from problems doesn't do anything to resolve them. It'll just grow worse, and that makes it a problem for everyone. Please, grandmother, give me one chance to show you that I am capable and that I can help you. Just tell me what is going on with the dragon in our family.
But evidently, running away from problems is all Orixian knows how to do, as she flung herself out of her wheelchair and off the cliff, despite the player party's efforts to stop her.
Oh, well, whatever. Is it dragon time yet? I wanna go see it, and no one is gonna talk me out of it this time. Don't bother even trying.
I was going to say no, but now I feel compelled to help the dragon. I think it's in a lot of pain, so yeah, Gribble, if you want to come with me, I've decided I'm going to risk it. and see if there is anything that might give us a better idea as to what is going on.
I think considering most of us have been harmed by the Isgales in some way, we're all eager to learn anything we can about them. If that means another death in the network, then so be it.
Well, I technically don't have any direct beef with them. But if all of you guys agree that family is shady shit, then you can count on me to have all of your backs and storm this castle alongside you.
On a positive note, it's nice not to feel as worried about dying here after talking to your MRP family Mimith. We know they've succumbed to this place a lot more than we have, and they still seem fine. But for now, I think because this is most personal to Mimith, it's best she leads the way, and we all support her however we can.
Thanks, guys. I don't know what we'll find, but please just remember, I don't really have any ties to these people.
You don't need to worry about that anymore. We all know that now, which is great, because that means you won't have hard feelings when I kill your uncle.
The only hard feelings there would be you beating me to the punch, but all right, let's all tackle this castle together.
Mimith's new miniature companion popped out of her armor excitedly.
Whoa, where did that come from?
Sorry, this is one. I don't quite know what it is, but don't worry, she's friendly.
It looks like a baby miniature dragon, but also a mushroom.
I can tell that's a baby Mycorji of some sort. Some Mycorji, as they get older and grow bigger, they develop razor-sharp appendages. That little one could be a good ally if it stays on our side.
Or it could cut our heads off.
Regardless of whatever little one is, right now, it has given no reason for anyone to be suspicious of her. Now, let's do what we came to do before things here start to get more dangerous.
The Fallen's fellowship now advanced into the castle, and with the strangeness of a dream, they were presented only with a very long hallway. Colossal metal doors loomed at the other end, a glacial mist creeping through the seams of the doors with a biting cold. An arcane lock kept it sealed, and as Mimith got closer, a glowing script written in Draconic appeared in front of her that she now read out loud.
From my choices, I gave you strife. From my blood twice, I gave you life. Then consumed by grief, I robbed you of relief. I've drowned in blame, now no right to speak your name. I selfishly haven't chosen yet to die. I don't have it in me yet to say goodbye. When I'm ready, I'll meet with you and become your slaughter. I deserve far worse for doing this to you, my one and only, blank. What rhymes with slaughter? Oh, is it daughter?
The door shook and opened to reveal a spiral staircase descending about 400 feet. Each rotation of the steps became notably colder. As the party faced the final set of stone doors, an offering bowl and a dagger needed no message to convey what needed to be done. Following Thotham's recommendation, Mimith cut the backside of her hand so that it would not hurt to wield her blade if necessary. Rising from the blood, a red magical fog swirled into the glowing arcane lock in the shape of a key. The doors then slowly parted with a prolonged, echoing creak, unveiling a long, abandoned cathedral to the murdered goddess Mystra. The vaulted ceiling was spiked by icicles over collapsed pews and frostbitten murals. Yet the true spectacle lied at the room's very center. A lone woman, a white-scaled dragonborn suspended in a crucified tangle of glowing, arcane gold chains that bit into her flesh with every jerk of her shackled limbs. Her nude form, a canvas of autonomic violence. Her throat raw from screams that shift between heart-stoppingly humanoid, only then to crescendo into guttural, monstrous bellows. This poor woman was unmistakably suffering. For even Mimith, this chamber felt freezing. Not just because of the Arctic frost, but she personally could feel the void where love once lived. having only ever seen her in photographs. Her mother somehow for some reason was here in the network.
Mom? But how is she here? She died before I was even born!
Whatever the fuck is going on here, I'm confident this isn't Zugmoy's doing. Everywhere else in the network has had a shit ton of spore activity, yet there's almost none aside from what's sparsely coming off this woman. Something is weird about this chamber, like it's some kind of anomaly, and I think that poem from upstairs backs me up. I suspect only Laura Coria could explain this disgustingly inhumane imprisonment.
These magic restraints extending throughout the entire chamber look newer than modern. None of this is a natural part of Mystra's temple. In my time being locked in a high-security prison, I have never seen runic restraints this powerful before. We're talking some serious platinum needing to be dropped for this rig.
Yet another unforgivable defilement of the fallen goddess's temple. That spinning disc is leaking with a devil's power. Platinum might not have been the currency that was spent for this.
I have confirmed the statues are not trapped and don't shoot lasers from the eyeballs.
The draconic written on the obelisk says I could read the enchantment here to sacrifice myself. And that would free my mother.
No, don't do that just yet. These locks look nasty, but let's see if Gribble and I can make waste of them.
The rest of us can try to smash the other chains apart. It's going to require a good bit of mana, it looks like. But thankfully, this whole rig looks designed more so to prevent her escape, rather than any outsider trying to free her.
And so the Fallen's Fellowship desperately took to trying to aid this poor woman's liberation, collectively throwing everything they could at the torturous device. The room may have felt arctic, but between their fury and the physical toll it was taking to free her, that kept their blood flowing hot. Once her first leg was released, Lux wasn't expecting a swift kick right in the fucking face. It flung her backwards and snapped Lux into the ground with a physics-defying force that stunned everyone. Araladrin coughed out blood and unsteadily pulled herself together, feeling a world of pain.
Holy shit! That level of strength is inhuman!
Unsure how much longer they were safe, they all got lucky as Thotham finally managed to radiantly shatter the spinning device above poor Suria's helmed head. That which dropped all the remaining chains simultaneously. Mimith quickly moved to catch her falling mother, keeping a firm grasp on her limbs, and then urgently yanked the helmet off her head. Now, for the very first time, meeting her own mother, face to face.
I know you probably have no idea who I am, but please tell me anything you know. Why were you being held here? How are you here?
Mimith's eyes teared simultaneously with her tiny companion, the little one, looking over the despairing, mutilated sight of Suria. Her mother's eyes were open, but the irises expand large and then shrink to pinpricks in fast cycles. It seemed as if Suria might be trapped in this state. But determined not to quit, Mimith pulled from her inventory her photo album, she choosing 2 pictures to bring toward her mother's face. One photo was of her parents when they got their first apartment in Verdina Spire together, seemingly happy and full of relief and hope for a better future. And then the second photograph of a much younger Mimith and her father, Kriv, having lunch beside Suria's flower-filled tombstone. The feral cycling of Suria's eyes slowed and softened with the sight of her dear husband, she now able to sadly choke out his name.
Kriv. Mom, I'm your and his child. My name is Mimith.
Suria's eyes widened, moving her gaze from the held photos to stare up at Mimith. She looked her daughter up and down slowly, weakly reaching up to touch Mimith's face.
I know you, he told me. But how am I here?
I'm sorry, Mom, but I'm just as confused as you are. Do you remember anything at all?
Suria tightly closed her eyes and began to grasp at her head in pain, desperately trying to recall.
Only glimpses. Kriv and I were together in oblivion. But then something shoved and dragged me. It got so hot, so much pain. I resisted, and I failed. All went dark, and all I could feel was rage. I'm so sorry, Mimith. That's all I can remember.
That's okay. I promise you, Mom, I'm going to figure this out.
Suddenly, Suria's body jerked forward with an intense force. She screeched out, and her body involuntarily twisted at the spine in a chorus of snaps. Mimith anxiously leapt up to try and grab her mother once more. She panicking, unsure what to do.
Oh no. I think something is taking over. I'm sorry, but I can't control it.
Mom, tell me what you need us to do.
I don't want to hurt you, Mimith. Please. Just kill me. Do it before I lose control.
A magical aura began to emanate powerfully from around her as a windstorm started to pick up within the cathedral ominously. Lux then coldly loaded a bullet and drew her glass gun.
I'm sorry, Mimith, but this is the only way we can free her. Hold her down and don't look.
Mimith wearily exhaled as she tightly closed her eyes and her head drooped low in defeat. She accepting Lux's logic for what it was. Mercy. Mimith moved to regain her strong grasp on her writhing mother, restraining her, and then gently pushing the suffering woman's head sympathetically but firmly to the cold ground, as Mimith looked away and sobbed.
Please, Lux. Just make it quick. I don't want her to suffer any longer.
Lux shot with an assassin's precision. But, as was noted when trying to free this woman, something was unnatural about her. As the bullet exited, her blood splattering onto Mimith as the wound quickly formed a puddle on the ground. Suria vibrated in pain, as Mimith now struggled more to keep her mother still.
Please! Just kill me!
Everyone shocked in disbelief.
Just how did Suria survive that lethal blow?
What? How did that not do it?
Oh, fuck!
Uh-oh. I don't want to hurt you!
Everyone aside from Mimith, who was preoccupied with restraining her growingly feral mother, now emptied their guns and additional attack actions into Suria. Each hit critically ripped through this poor fucking woman, feeling every ounce of pain, while her body seemingly denies her the comfort of death. Her snow-white complexion drenched in scarlet as she wormed, contorted, and convulsed underneath Mimith's now quivering grasp. Our young dragonborn, unable to hold her mother securely now that they were both soaked in Suria's fucking blood.
I don't understand! How is she still alive?
Suria's wild strength began to rapidly increase as she finally thrashed beyond Mimith's control. In one fucking swing, Suria then violently flung her daughter airborne. But Suria had managed to keep just enough control to assure that Mimith was flung away from the wall in order to minimize any harm as she slid on the ice, scraping her body partway across the room. Mimith, now unable to avoid the sight of her mother. Her eyes. One was cold and distant like a merciless predator, while the other eye was wide and scared, entirely consumed by shame for having attacked her own daughter.
Mom, please don't blame yourself. I know this isn't you. This isn't your fault.
Mimith said, as she now pulled her own network glass gun, aiming it at her mother, who clearly was spending every fraction of a second at war with herself. As her mom painfully groaned lowly once more, Mimith shot her in the throat. That slowed her a moment, but she remained standing and continued to stalk towards her. As if watching this all unfold in slow motion, Mimith used her action surge to shoot again, this time with a determined precision between the eyes. That bullet sent her mother collapsing backwards. The Fallen's fellowship in one round with their special network. Weapons came really close to bringing Suria down before her transformation. But time was now up. As she fucking once again unsteadily rose back to her feet, her body now racked with waves of intense spasms, and her voice distorted beyond recognition.
I'm so sorry! I can't hold it back anymore! Forgive me, Mimith!
Grib, please give our child your strength.
Those were poor Suria's last words and final thoughts, before her arm ruptured, thicker scales shred through her skin like fucking paper. A new appendage geysering out of the shoulder socket as a now monstrous clawed limb grasped at the marble floor, it cracking underneath its weight. Violent is a poor description of the rest of Suria's tortured transformation, as each of her bones snapped and shot out new calcified pillars horrifically ripped through her spine. The silver dragon erupted out of what was left of this crumbling woman's frame. It expanded within the cathedral as it rose its elongated neck and bellowed a grandiose roar. The weight of the beast in this chamber seems to have been too much to sustain, as the Fallen's fellowship now needed to try and survive against a most fantastical beast. Lux immediately landed a sneak attack, but our Elidrin was already badly injured from the earlier lethal kick to the damn face.
Shit, looks like her attention is on me now. I didn't have much of a chance anyhow, but at least I bought everyone else a little more time.
Our Eladrin thought to herself, as Suria's angry sapphire gaze zoned in on her. Then this mighty dragon quickly flashed its claws. Before Lux could even register what had happened, she was knocked down prone and pinned by the dragon. Then, Suria raked her fucking claws over Lux's trapped body, dragging and shredding our poor rogue from shoulders to knees. Now, disemboweled over the damn ice.
No, Lux! Shit! Please, Suria, come back to your senses!
Tarth shouted as he heroically charged in, hoping to put an end to the clearly bloodied and struggling beast. His heart panged over the fact that, like himself, she seemed to have been taken away from her place of comfort, only to be abducted and imprisoned against her damn will. That all hitting too close to Tarth's empathy as he doubled a barrage of passionate attacks onto her. But the armored scales of this beast were beyond the capabilities of his first attack. She didn't even notice. However, Tarth's second magical attack hurt just enough to catch the Drake's attention, as Suria quickly snapped her sharp maw at him, immediately grappling poor Tarth between her teeth as she raised her regal head high, where he now had a bird's-eye view of the battlefield as her frosted breath stood his fur straight in a shiver. Tarth, from where he hung, could see Gribble cowering behind a column, and he also could see Thotham and Mimith frantically moving, them trying to figure out how they can save their airborne friend. But Tarth already knew. He was done for.
Don't worry about me, just save yourselves and keep fighting! Go on without me!
Those were our Harangon's last words. Before Suria opened her frigid mouth, Tarth hanging onto a fang for dear life. And like a massive guillotine, she snapped her jaw as Tarth, from the ribs down, was swallowed, and from the chest up, he fell through the air and onto the cathedral floor with a wet bang, and sprayed poor Gribble, who had only just laid eyes on the grim remains of Lux. Both the Harangon and the Eladrin now muted in color, leaving behind only husks of themselves. Gribble contemplated using his champion stone, but he realized, like Renrev, it was muted. Dea's magic does not reach the network. Thus the child's scream beckoned the feral instinct of this dragon. Locking eyes with it now, Gribble gulped and shot some fire at it. That fire was far too small to worry an ice dragon.
Hey! Can't you tell that we're both dragons? And someday I'm gonna be your size! So, maybe we can talk through this?
The answer was no. Suria whipped her colossal tail at the boy, throwing him bluntly into the hard wall before shoving a claw into him, and then scraped and dragged his little body across the rough stones of the wall until the friction caused his flesh to twist and fold into itself, leaving only an unidentifiable smear of goblin guts.
I've always dreamed of meeting you, Mom, but not like this.
Mimith tearfully ran with her readied blade and lunged her sword into it. It was almost over. The chamber suddenly tilted again, forcing Mimith to slide sideways into Thotham. But a lucky break came as the chamber tilt threw Suria off balance and directly into Thotham's line of sight.
I'm so sorry it had to come to this, Mimith, but I think I can finish this.
Mimith felt nauseous and held onto Thotham's cloak to steady herself while keeping her head down. She not wanted to puke on him, nor did she wish to witness her mother's kill shot.
Please free her from this!
Thotham silently nodded, and then called upon holy energy into his hand, as he readied his mind to aim for the small bullet wound that still trickled blood down between Suria's miserably exhausted eyes.
Whatever is going on, we all will help Mimith get justice for you. But for now, please, if you can, rest in peace.
Holy light reached for Suria like a radiant lance, illuminating her azure eyes like a sunny sky before striking her magnificent, draconic form down. Suria came crashing with a slow exhale, as a thicker stream of blood now flowed down the dragon's wilting face, her eyes watering both in misery and with relief, as its form faded entirely to gray, and she turned into a husk like any other life in the network. Mimith collapsed to her knees, she processing the events and coming to a sad realization. Mimith had always wondered how she became infected before ever setting foot in Zambu. But with her mother here, now she could surmise someone poisoned her mom, and that must have reached into Mimith's egg, that which came out weakly developed. Mimith gulped as she wondered, could it be? The twisted Cordies may have been the very catalyst for Suria's fatal pregnancy.
Laura Coria, I will make you answer to me!
And with that, for the first time, we had players survive the network. You all completed Laura Coria's hyphae. Mimith and Thotham watched the scenery gradually fade to white as they were slowly returning to consciousness. But before all imagery was lost from their senses, strangely, another separate manifestation of Suria the dragon rose from the husk. Walking past the fading Mimith and Thotham, spreading her wings wide and took flight, Suria then beamed a ray of menacing frost toward the ceiling of the cathedral, destroying it in order to create an exit. And as she ripped through, the network began to seemingly fall apart, as if the scenario itself was just attacked. She flew free from her prison. Mimith only then realizing that the little one wasn't fading like herself was.
Oh no, little one! I don't know how to bring you with me. I'm so sorry. Goodbye!
The brightness completely took over, and the player party collectively woke up, bringing us back to the present. Lux, Tarth, and Gribble wake up screaming in agony, whereas Mimith and Thotham simply wake up because, well, their party mates are screaming. The sterile tang of antiseptic stings each of your noses. You're all in a business lounge of sorts, waking up on couches or cushioned chairs. Sparkling white floor tiles glare from flickering lights that are just too damn bright, as they cast ugly, harsh shadows. A reception desk faces you all, and there sits an elven woman with her feet up. She has long, sleek black hair in a ponytail, and wears a long, pristine white lab coat with high heels. Your screams didn't seem to startle her one bit as she nonchalantly sips a hot beverage before flicking her line of sight over to your party tiredly.
Morning. Before any of you bite my head off, please know that I did try to wake you all up, but you all were out cold, to the point where my next attempt would have required harming you. I figured that wouldn't be a good introduction, so I brought you all here. Oh, right. My name is Dr. Avo Jen. Long time no see, Tarvelemu. Not that I expect you to remember me. Baba Yaga said you consented to meet, so please don't take it out on me if that's not your recollection. I'm just a humble working woman after all. Let me know when you're ready to get started.
This game, folks, was the most important game yet. This summary will be referenced in many games, near and far distant future, for all of you. As for our next game, the DM anticipates that one being the last mission before we finally start the wedding ceremony. Then it's on to the much, much shorter mission of, Pippet's fucking funeral. Y'all are gluttons for punishment, I swear. Till next time, friends.